Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Let me begin tonight by making a pitch for you for a summer vacation destination. I know we're in the midst of a pandemic. It's hard to know exactly where to go, but how does this sound? Jacksonville, Florida, late August, 3 straight days outside. Now, the temperatures will likely be highs around 95 with the humidity above 80%. So it could feel like it's over 100 degrees, 105, 110, who knows? Oh, and you will not be at the beach. No, you will be walking on hot pavement or in some kind of arena, surrounded by a big group of people who are screaming and cheering, kind of like this, in the middle of a pandemic, in one of the hardest hit places in the entire world. Oh, and one more thing. If you are coming from any of these states, you'll be asked, and in many cases required, to self-quarantine for 14 days when you get back before you can resume your life. If this sounds like a terrible idea, well, I hope you're not planning on attending the Republican National Convention in August. Due to the pandemic, Republicans are now planning to move much of the convention outside. This is the latest move in this evolving RNC debacle and an absolutely perfect microcosm of every way the president and his party has failed to deal with this public health crisis. It reminds me of this cartoon that's very popular on the internet. I'm sure you've seen it, where a dog sits at a table in a room that is clearly burning, with coffee in front of him, and he declares, "This is fine." And that's what Trump's been doing the entire pandemic. His approach to all of this, the whole thing, is to deny it, pretend it's not happening, and hope he can somehow just will it away. This is fine. And that has not worked, because you have to put fires out or they burn everything down. And now his lack of action, his "this is fine" approach, is ruining his own Republican National Convention. Do you remember the original plan for the convention? You see, it was supposed to be held in Charlotte, North Carolina, until the governor of that state, Democrat Roy Cooper, made it clear in early June that his state would not allow a full-scale convention because, well, he did not want thousands and thousands of people packed shoulder to shoulder indoors in the midst of a once-in-a-century pandemic. And Republicans lashed out at the governor for trying to protect the residents of his state, because Donald Trump wants his big coronavirus party without it being scaled back in any way. And so they started, and I quote the Florida Republican chairman, rolling out the red carpet to try to get the convention moved to their state. It became this kind of right-wing performance art where Republicans say, "Oh, we want you, Mr. President. We want your coronavirus party. We do not care about COVID here." Georgia Governor Brian Kemp practically begging, "We hope you will consider the Peach State." Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying, "If North Carolina cannot step up the plate, Texas has shown that it can." Trump ultimately, of course, went with Florida, where his buddy, Governor Ron DeSantis, was right around then taking a victory lap, saying his state had not been hit hard and shoving it in the face of all those idiot liberal elites who thought they knew better when they said maybe Florida was opening up a little too early. Since then, things in Florida have gotten very, very bad. The state has seen a dramatic increase in cases. 15,000 on Sunday alone, shattering records previously held by California and New York. In one day, Florida alone saw more cases than all of Europe. Yes, you heard that right, all of Europe. Doctors in the state of Florida are warning that intensive care units could reach capacity within days. The state just hit a new single-day record for coronavirus deaths. And even Governor DeSantis is now admitting that, yes, testing is falling short. He's also been reportedly quietly hindering fundraising for, yes, the convention, which has not been going well. Meanwhile, the Republican mayor of Jacksonville, who's the former head of the state Republican Party, has issued a mandatory mask order. Good for him. And by the way, he himself just had to self-quarantine after exposure to the coronavirus. And as for his constituents, well, they are making clear they do not want the convention to take place at all. And also, one by one, day by day, prominent Republicans are saying they're just not going to go, either because they do not want to be associated with the president in an election year, or because they are people who are at risk for contracting the virus, possibly dying. People like Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, who's 86 years old, and who is skipping the convention for the first time in 40 years due to the virus. And that seems like a good idea. Would you advise Chuck Grassley to fly to Jacksonville to go to the RNC? Donald Trump wants to just pretend the virus does not exist. He's willing to risk infecting his most loyal supporters for the brief rush of serotonin that an arena of cheering, adoring fans will give him. But for many of the people who supported him back in 2016, that attitude is exactly the reason they will not be voting for him again.